Imagine yourself walking through a field of tall grass 100,000 years ago. The sun is sinking below the horizon, painting the landscape in deep shades of red. Then you hear it, a faint rustle behind you. You turn around and freeze. Staring back at you are two glowing yellow eyes, reflecting the last light of the day. It is a cave lion, nearly twice the size of any lion alive today. More than 700 pounds of pure muscle, armed with razor-sharp claws and terrifying fangs. It is staring straight at you, perfectly still. You have no gun, no knife, not even a sharpened stick. Your teeth are flat, your fingernails are weak and almost useless as weapons. You cannot outrun it, you cannot outclimb it, and you certainly cannot fight it. So why are you still here today? How did our ancestors survive in a world where almost every creature seemed to be built to kill them? Before we answer that question, I want to show you something almost no documentary has ever revealed. Let's turn the board upside down and see the story from the other side of the hunt, through the eyes of the predator itself. Because that is where the real secret has been hiding all along. Now go back 100,000 years. This time, you are a saber-toothed cat. With 11-inch fangs and a body weighing nearly 600 pounds, you are one of the most formidable predators ever to walk the earth. For almost 2 million years, your bloodline has ruled this land. Nothing dares to challenge you. Until now, you smell them before you ever see them. There are 5 of them. Normally, prey animals panic and flee the moment they catch your scent. These 5 do not. They stand shoulder to shoulder in a tight circle, facing outward. Each one grips a long wooden spear pointed directly at you. They are making sounds together, not screams, not panic, something completely different. Coordination, unity. You charge. Then something happens that your species has never experienced before. One of them hurls a spear straight at you, from almost 30 feet away. It slams deep into your shoulder. You stop instantly. Never in your life have you felt pain delivered from such a distance. Your instincts have no answer for this, no strategy, no memory. So you do the only thing you can, you back away. That single moment of hesitation from a predator is one of the reasons you and I are alive today, while the mighty, saber-toothed cat disappeared forever. But to truly understand why, we have to turn the clock back even further. We need to see just how vulnerable humans once were, and how that very weakness forged the greatest weapon our species would ever possess. In 1924, Raymond Dart uncovered an ancient skull in South Africa. A discovery that transformed our understanding of human history. It belonged to a child, one of our early ancestors, who died at only 3 years old. 2 deep puncture wounds pierced straight through the eye sockets. The spacing matched, with chilling precision, the canine teeth of a leopard. This child's death was not an accident. The child was prey. How do we know the killer was a leopard? Because every predator leaves behind its own signature on the bones of its victims. Leopard canines are spaced about 42 millimeters apart. Lions leave marks closer to 58 millimeters. Hyenas do not leave punctures at all. They crush bone. Skeletons cannot speak, but they never lie. For millions of years, humans were not hunters. We were prey. And the animals hunting us were not merely dangerous. They were apex predators, refined by millions of years of evolution to bring down the largest animals on Earth. Yet they all shared one fatal weakness. Each predator relied on a single hunting strategy. Humans were about to discover how to defeat every one of them. Look again at the saber-toothed cat, Smilodon fatalis. Its fangs stretched nearly 11 inches, and its muscular body weighed close to 600 pounds. It represented the absolute peak of physical evolution, an animal perfected over millions of years. Yet nature has one invisible limitation. Even the most extraordinary biological machine needs hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of years, to evolve sharper claws or stronger muscles. Physical evolution is an unbearably slow race. Then there was the giant short-faced bear. Standing nearly 12 feet tall on its hind legs and weighing close to 2,000 pounds. It lived almost entirely on meat. It could sprint at nearly 40 miles per hour. Yet there is something most people never learn about it. It was not always a hunter, it was a bully. Its strategy was brutally simple. It listened for the sounds of another predator making a kill. Then it emerged from the shadows, overwhelmed the exhausted hunter, and stole everything. Cave hyenas. Defenseless. These were the shadows that haunted our ancestors after dark. Early humans feared the night because once the sun disappeared, so did our greatest advantage, our vision. Then everything changed the moment fire appeared. Flickering flames did far more than chase away the darkness or keep us warm. Fire drove fear itself out of the cave. It transformed a shelter into a fortress, a place where humans held the advantage and the predators were forced to retreat in defeat. And this was all we had to face those dangers. We were slower, far weaker than chimpanzees. We could not navigate in total darkness. We could not smell predators from miles away. Yet we stood upright, allowing us to see farther than almost any other animal around us. Our babies cried constantly and could not even walk for an entire year. By every law of biology, we should have been the species that disappeared. And yet, we did not. In the end, it was not humanity that surrendered. It was everyone else. So what actually changed? Humanity's first great weapon was fire. Inside Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, archaeologists discovered clear evidence of controlled fire dating back 1 million years. Charred bones, layers of ash, the remains of ancient hearths. But how do we know these fires were made by humans rather than wildfires? Because every trace of burning was found deep inside the cave. Wildfires spread and move. A controlled fire stays exactly where you build it. A single campfire creates a safe zone of about 30 feet, one that almost every predator instinctively avoids. Even African lions today hesitate to approach an open flame. Fire gave us light in the darkness. It gave warmth to bodies that were never built to survive freezing nights. But above all else, fire gave us something far more valuable. It gave us time. Before fire, sunset meant your day was over. You stayed still until morning, hoping not to become prey in the darkness. Fire gave us 3 to 4 extra hours every night. Time to shape tools, time to make plans, time to talk. Fire also allowed us to cook food, extracting more calories to fuel a larger brain. And with a larger brain came something even more powerful. We could teach our children not only what to do, but why they should do it. But fire alone was not enough. Our second great weapon was endurance. We are terrible sprinters. A saber-toothed cat could reach nearly 30 miles an hour in just a few seconds. Yet humans possess an ability that almost no other animal on Earth can match. We can keep running for hours without stopping. This technique is known as persistence hunting. You never chase your prey at full speed. Instead, you keep moving at a steady jog, forcing the animal to run again and again. You stay behind it for 3, 4, sometimes even 6 hours. The animal sprints, stops, recovers, then runs again. Unlike humans, it cannot cool itself efficiently while moving. Eventually, it collapses from heat and exhaustion. Then you walk up and finish the hunt with nothing more than a stone. To this day, humans remain the only species on Earth known to hunt this way. Our third weapon was the ability to recognize patterns. The human brain evolved to find patterns everywhere. A broken branch meant something had just passed through. Freshly disturbed soil meant something had been digging there. We began tracking predators with the same attention we once reserved for prey. We learned their routines. Saber-toothed cats hunted near watering holes at dusk. Cave lions avoided fire. Giant short-faced bears lived alone and defended their own territories. We watched. We remembered. Then we taught each other. Knowledge no longer disappeared with one lifetime. It grew with every generation. But the weapon that truly saved us was something else entirely. It was our ability to care for one another, and we have fossils that prove it. In 2001, archaeologists studying Dmanisi in present-day Georgia uncovered the remains of an individual who lived 1.8 million years ago. This elderly person had lost every tooth years before death. Without teeth, chewing meat would have been impossible. Yet they survived for years. The only explanation is that someone else fed them. No predator behaves this way. A lion that loses its teeth dies alone. A wolf that can no longer hunt is abandoned by the pack. Humans chose a different path. We cared for those who could no longer care for themselves. That skeleton, still preserved in a museum in Georgia, is stronger evidence than any spear or campfire. It marks the moment we truly began to become human in the way that mattered most. At Shanidar Cave in Iraq, researchers uncovered the skeleton of a Neanderthal who lived about 60,000 years ago. This individual had suffered a crippled arm, blindness in one eye, and severe arthritis, yet still lived to around 40 years old. They could no longer hunt, they could no longer fight, yet their community cared for them for decades. This is the trait that truly defined our species. We did not cooperate only when it was useful. We learned to care for one another. We did not simply hunt together. We developed strategy. Picture this scene: 5 humans against a single saber-toothed cat. One person drives the animal toward a narrow ravine with noise and movement. Another blocks the entrance with a spear, while 2 more seal off both escape routes. The 5th waits silently above on the ridge, ready to throw. The saber-toothed cat has spent its entire existence ambushing others. It has never imagined becoming the one trapped in an ambush. And in that moment, it has no idea what to do. Wolves hunt in packs by instinct. Humans hunted in packs through strategy. Every person had a role, and every plan could change in an instant. We used language to adapt in the middle of the hunt. We threw spears from a distance, a form of attack and defense that no predator had ever evolved. With just 5 people working as one, we could bring down a saber-toothed cat, and that is exactly what we did. Around 400,000 years ago, the remarkable Schöningen spears were crafted in what is now Germany. These wooden throwing spears were perfectly balanced and aerodynamically designed to kill prey from almost 30 feet away. We know exactly how they were made because 8 of them survived, preserved in the sediments of an ancient lake. Those prehistoric craftsmen understood sophisticated principles of physics, even though they had no words to describe them. We stopped running away and started hunting the hunters. The turning point came around 50,000 years ago. When humans spread out of Africa and across the world, Everywhere we arrived, giant animals slowly disappeared. Saber-toothed cats vanished about 10,000 years ago. Cave lions disappeared around 14,000 years ago. Giant short-faced bears were gone roughly 11,000 years ago. Mammoths, giant ground sloths, terror birds, one after another. They could not survive our arrival. Scientists still debate how much climate change contributed to those extinctions. But one pattern is impossible to ignore. Wherever humans appeared, the largest predators disappeared within a few thousand years. We did not simply outlive them, we outthought them. Evolution gave every other species one extraordinary advantage: speed, strength, venom, camouflage. Humans received something entirely different: the ability to adapt. We could never outrun a giant short-faced bear, so we learned to strike from a distance. We could never bite as hard as a cave hyena, so we surrounded it with dozens of spears. We could never see through the darkness like a lion, so we created fire and turned night into day. Every biological weakness forced us to invent a new solution across thousands of generations. Those solutions accumulated until we became something no predator could ever evolve fast enough to defeat. For 2 million years, we were prey. We hid in trees, we fled through the darkness. We watched in helpless grief as leopards carried away our children. Then something happened that had never happened before in the history of life on this planet. The prey learned how to think. And once thinking entered the game, the outcome was decided before the hunt had even begun. We possess something no predator has ever had: the ability to learn, to remember our mistakes, and to pass those lessons on so the next generation never has to repeat them. More importantly, we chose to care for those who could no longer fight: the blind Neanderthal, the elderly man in Georgia who had lost every tooth. They were never burden. They were living libraries, carrying everything their people had learned across a lifetime. In the end, that was the greatest weapon we ever needed.